Hello, my name is Hassad Manasseh, and I will be talking about the future of a MLB baseball. And I know it's kind of a given that baseballs aren't used up to 500 years or 1,000 years. We know that baseballs will probably only last about 15 to 20 years at most because there's no real statistic that shows how long of a lifespan baseballs are really used for because it really depends on how well you take care of a baseball. But I like to talk about how we recycle baseballs. They are 100% recyclable with the materials being used for the baseball, which is leather, there's rubber, and then there's wool. And all these three materials are 100% recyclable and 100% reusable. And I like to talk more about that and just how we do reuse baseballs, um, how what we do to when it begins to break down, when the leather begins to peel off or we see the laces begin to come off. So I'd like to talk more in detail about stuff like that. Now I did talk about the MLB baseballs are created in Costa Rica, how they're shipped here to Florida and basically spread throughout the whole US for all of the MLB organizations to use in games, of course. And there is a statistic that does show that in a 9 inning MLB baseball game that a new baseball is only used up to 7 to 8 pitches, which is only about probably a couple minutes at most. But in a 9 inning MLB baseball game, that's a span of maybe 2 to 3 hours that it's only used for a couple minutes. And after that couple minutes in an MLB baseball game, then it is never used in another MLB baseball game, which is so fascinating that it's so expensive and it just takes a lot of process to get there, and it's only used for only 7 to 8 pitches, only a couple minutes in a baseball game. But they do reuse these baseballs, just not in games. And usually when it's done, then they put it in a baseball bucket for training of some sort with all the MLB players. And once they do begin to get more baseballs and more used baseballs from the game, then they send these baseballs down to the minor league. And the minor league is the people below the MLB. And once they continue to get more and more baseballs, they still find a way to reuse these baseballs by sending it either down to the college level or sending it to the youth. So this is a good way to reuse all these baseballs as much as possible. Now, talking about the recycling part, there isn't a major company that does recycles baseballs for goods, but there is a small one that I know of, and he's the owner of Fielder's Choice. His name is John Brong, and he's a baseball company that basically reuses baseball gloves, baseball mitts, and just baseballs as well to make baseball related items, whether it's t-shirts, wallets, shirt, or pants, and just other like those goods. So, but there isn't a major company that recycles baseballs. But an interesting thing is that baseballs are recycled in through chemical processes, and the leather on the baseballs can be recycled by using water and acacia wood bark, and the rubber inside the baseball can be recycled with alkali, and alkali helps break down the rubber part of the baseball. So it's interesting that baseballs are recycled through chemical processes, but also recyclable and reusable for goods, of course. So it's interesting how baseballs are recycled and reused in the future. And if you see somebody trying to throw away a baseball, just tell them to put it in recycle because they are 100% recyclable, they're 100% reusable, and yes.